Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're delving into a fascinating and often misunderstood aspect of Viking Age history: their methods of gathering information. While popular culture often paints a dramatic picture of Viking raids, the reality of how they operated, especially when it came to gaining intelligence, is far more complex and interesting. First, let's set the scene. The Viking Age, roughly from the late 8th to the late 11th centuries, was a period of significant expansion, trade, and exploration for the Norse people. They weren't just raiders, they were also traders, settlers, and skilled navigators. Information was their most valuable commodity. Knowing the layout of a town, the location of a monastery's treasury, or the political situation of a kingdom could mean the difference between a successful expedition and a disaster. So, how did they get this crucial information? One of the primary methods was through observation and reconnaissance. Before any major raid, Viking scouts would often spend weeks or even months gathering intelligence. They would disguise themselves as merchants or travelers, integrating into local communities to learn the language, map out the terrain, and identify vulnerabilities. This patient, strategic approach is a far cry from the spontaneous, chaotic raids we often see in movies. Source: another key source of information was through trade networks. The Vikings were extensive traders. With connections stretching from Newfoundland to Central Asia, these trade routes were also information highways. Merchants would bring back not just goods, but also news, rumors, and detailed knowledge about distant lands, their rulers, and their defenses. This constant flow of information allowed Viking leaders to plan their expeditions with a surprising degree of precision. Of course, interactions weren't always peaceful. During raids, capturing individuals with valuable knowledge was a strategic priority. This didn't always involve coercion. A captured monk, for instance, who could read and write, might be offered good treatment in exchange for translating documents or providing information about a region's political structure. For the Vikings, a person's knowledge could be far more valuable than any ransom. They were pragmatic people, and an alive cooperative informant was much more useful than one who was not. The sagas, the epic stories of Norse and Icelandic history, also offer some insights. While these texts were written centuries after the Viking Age and often blend fact with fiction, they consistently highlight the importance of strategy and cunning. Heroes in the sagas are often praised, not for their brute strength, but for their cleverness and ability to outwit their enemies. This cultural emphasis on intelligence and strategy tells us a lot about what the Norse people valued. They understood that knowledge was power. When we look at the archaeological evidence, we see a society that was highly organized and capable of sophisticated long-term planning. The construction of their longships, the establishment of their trade routes, and the success of their settlements all point to a culture that relied on accurate information and careful preparation. So, while the image of the fierce Viking warrior is a powerful one, it's only part of the story. Behind the raids and the battles was a complex network of information gathering, strategic planning, and psychological tactics. The Vikings were successful not just because they were strong, but because they were smart. They knew the value of information and were masters at acquiring it. Whether through peaceful trade, careful observation, or strategic captures, understanding this aspect of their culture gives us a much richer and more accurate picture of who the Vikings really were. They were not just warriors, but explorers, traders, and strategists who navigated a complex world with skill and intelligence. It's a testament to their adaptability and resourcefulness that their influence was felt across such a vast area for so many centuries. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey today. If you found this topic interesting, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what other aspects of the Viking Age you'd like to explore. Until next time, stay curious.